My name is Elias Grant, and for the better part of 25 years, I've made my living behind the wheel of a 18-wheeler, hauling freight across the frozen veins of northern Canada. From the icy tundras of Yukon to the dense, unforgiving forests of British Columbia, the road has been my constant companion, a silent partner that demands respect and offers little in return. Most folks imagine trucking as a grind of endless coffee and radio static, but for me, it's always been a refuge. I grew up in a crowded foster home in Toronto, shuffled between families who saw me as just another mouth to feed. The open highway gave me what I craved: space to breathe, to forget the chaos of people and their petty dramas. Out here, it's just you, the rumble of the diesel engine, and the vast, indifferent wilderness. Or at least that's how it used to be. I never married, never had kids. My only family was a distant uncle who'd passed away when I was young, leaving me a faded photo album of his own trucking days, grainy shots of snow-covered rigs and handwritten notes about the quiet that speaks. I kept it in my glove compartment as a talisman, a reminder that solitude wasn't loneliness, it was strength. But over the years, that quiet started to change. It began to whisper secrets I didn't want to hear, pulling at the edges of my sanity like frost cracking glass. What follows isn't a tale I share lightly. It's the account of a single, harrowing run that spanned weeks, weaving together incidents that forced me to question everything: my past, my mind, and the shadows that lurk beyond the headlights. If you're reading this, know that the road doesn't forgive the unwary. And sometimes, the real horror isn't what's out there. It's what it awakens inside you. It started on a crisp autumn evening in late September, as I loaded up my rig in Whitehorse for a long haul to a remote mining outpost near Great Bear Lake in the Northwest Territories. The cargo was standard: drilling equipment, fuel drums, and supplies for the workers braving the encroaching winter. I'd taken the job because it paid double. Hazardous route, they called it, due to the unpredictable weather and the sheer isolation. The highway ahead was the Dempster, a gravel beast that snaked through hundreds of kilometers of taiga forest and permafrost with barely a soul in sight. No cell towers, no emergency pullouts, just the occasional herd of caribou or a lone raven circling overhead. I fueled up at the last station, grabbed a thermos of black tea, and hit the road as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and grays. The first few hours were uneventful. The gravel crunched under my tires like brittle bones, and the forest closed in on either side, towering spruces and pines that seemed to lean inward, as if guarding ancient secrets. I tuned my CB radio to a faint signal from a distant station, catching snippets of weather reports warning of an early snow squall. "Stay alert, folks," the voice crackled, visibility dropping north of the Arctic Circle. I chuckled to myself. I'd driven through worse. My rig, a reliable old Kenworth I'd nicknamed Frostbite, hummed steadily, its dashboard gauges glowing like watchful eyes in the dim cab. As night fully settled, the temperature plummeted. Frost etched patterns on the windshield, and I cranked the heater, sipping my tea to ward off the chill. That's when the first oddity struck. About 3 hours in, deep into the forest where the road narrowed to a single lane, my engine let out a low, irregular groan. Not the usual diesel rumble, but something strained, like a breath caught in the throat. I glanced at the instruments. Oil pressure fine, temperature normal, no alerts flashing. "Come on, girl," I muttered to Frostbite. "Don't quit on me now." The groan faded, but a nagging unease settled in my gut. I was too far from Whitehorse to turn back, and the next outpost was a full day's drive. Pressing on was my only option. Another hour passed, and the groan returned, louder this time, evolving into a stutter that made the whole cab vibrate. Then, without warning, the engine coughed and died. Frostbite coasted to a halt on the shoulder, the sudden silence deafening. The forest loomed outside, branches scratching at the windows like skeletal fingers in the wind. I tried the ignition. Click, click, nothing. Cursing under my breath, I popped the hood and stepped out, flashlight in hand. The air was biting, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Under the hood, everything looked intact. No burst hoses, no loose wires. I wasn't a full mechanic, but I'd fixed enough breakdowns to know this wasn't mechanical. It felt deliberate. Back in the cab, I grabbed the CB. This is Elias Grant on the Dempster. Mile marker approximate 250. Engines out. Anyone copy? Static hissed back, mocking me. I repeated the call, my voice tighter. Nothing. My satellite phone, mandatory for these runs, showed no bars. Isolated didn't begin to cover it. I leaned back, rubbing my temples, trying to think. Walking was suicide. Temperatures would drop to -10°C by midnight, and wolves roamed these woods. I'd have to wait for dawn, hope another hauler passed by. That's when I saw the lights. Twin beams piercing the darkness from the south, approaching slowly. Relief washed over me. Another driver, perhaps. As it neared, I made out the shape. Not a semi, but a rugged SUV coated in mud and grime, like it had been off-roading for days. It pulled up behind me, engine idling. A figure emerged, bundled in a heavy parka, face obscured by a woolen scarf and hood. Trouble? The voice called, muffled but deep, with a hint of an accent I couldn't place, maybe indigenous or from further north. Yeah, I replied, stepping out cautiously. Engine just quit. No idea why. You got a radio or jumper cables? The stranger nodded, approaching with measured steps. Up close, he was shorter than me, stocky, with gloved hands that fidgeted oddly. Name's Harlan. I can take a look. These roads eat machines alive. Something in his tone felt off. Too eager, perhaps. But options were slim. He peered under the hood, poking at wires without much purpose. Minutes dragged on, the wind howling through the trees. Looks bad, he said, finally straightening. Wiring's fried. I got a camp not far off trail. Tools there. We can tow you, fix it up. My instincts flared. A camp? In this wilderness? Appreciate it, but I'll wait for morning. Bound to be traffic. Harlan's eyes, dark and unblinking, met mine. Morning's far off. Animals out here. Bears worse. He stepped closer, breath fogging the air. Safer with me. The words hung heavy, laced with an undercurrent I couldn't ignore. The forest seemed to close in tighter, branches rustling as if listening. I'm good, I said firmly, backing toward the cab. Thanks anyway. He lingered, staring, then turned abruptly and returned to his SUV. But he didn't drive off. He sat there, lights on, engine rumbling. Sweat beaded on my forehead despite the cold. I locked the doors, clutching a wrench from my toolkit like a lifeline. Time stretched. 10 minutes, 20. Harlan's silhouette remained motionless. My mind raced. Was he waiting for me to sleep, or something else? Then a new sound. Another set of lights from the north, a logging truck rumbling into view. Harlan's SUV revved suddenly, peeling away into the night. The logger stopped, a burly guy named Pete who radioed for a tow from the next depot. As we waited, I spilled the encounter. Pete frowned. Heard tales of folks like that, drifters preying on breakdowns. Some say they're not right in the head, luring drivers off-road. I nodded, but the chill lingered. What if Harlan hadn't been alone? What if he'd come back? The tow arrived at dawn, diagnosing a mysterious electrical short. Nothing visible, but fixed with a bypass. I continued north, but the incident gnawed at me. The Dempster felt different now, watchful. I pushed on, arriving at the mining outpost by evening. The workers unloaded quickly, sharing stories over stew in the mess hall. One grizzled veteran, Tom, eyed my rig. Heard you had trouble. Dempster's got a memory. Things happen there that don't make sense. I laughed it off, but sleep evaded me that night. Dreams came. Harlan's face morphing into my uncle's from the old photos, whispering warnings about the quiet that speaks. I woke in a sweat, the album in my lap. I'd pulled it out for comfort. Flipping through, I noticed something new. A loose page with scribbled notes. Avoid the old trails. Echoes follow. My uncle's handwriting. Coincidence? Or had he known something? The return trip south promised smoother sailing, but weather reports lied. A blizzard hit midway, blanketing the road in white. Visibility zero, I crawled at 20 kilometers per hour, wipers thrashing. Hours in, exhaustion tugged at me. Spotting a pullout, a rare widened shoulder with a dilapidated shelter, I parked, killing the engine. The storm howled outside, snow piling against the windows. I brewed more tea, settling into the sleeper berth with a blanket. Silence descended, broken only by wind gusts. Then a crunch. Footsteps in the snow circling the rig. I bolted upright, heart pounding. The pullout was empty when I'd arrived, no other vehicles. Peering through the frosted glass, I saw nothing but swirling white. The steps continued, slow, deliberate, like someone probing for weakness. Hello? I called, voice swallowed by the gale. No answer. Grabbing my flashlight, I shone it out the window. Shadows danced, but no figures. The steps paused, then resumed, now on the passenger side, panic built. Was it Harlan tracking me or wolves? But wolves didn't circle like this. I checked the locks, huddling back. Minutes later, a tap on the door, soft, insistent. Tap, tap. Then another from the roof? Impossible in this storm. My mind flashed to childhood fears. Foster stories of wendigos, spirits that hungered in the cold. Ridiculous, I told myself. Hallucinations from fatigue. But the taps grew frantic, pounding now. I slammed the horn, the blare cutting through the blizzard. Silence followed. Then, headlights pierced the snow, a snowplow emerging from the whiteout. The operator, a woman named Lena, stopped. You okay? Saw your rig buried. Shaken, I explained the noises. She scanned the area. Tracks everywhere, but storms fresh. Could be anything. Drifters use these pullouts for shelter. Or just the wind playing tricks. But as she left, I spotted them. Footprints in the snow. Human-sized, leading away into the trees. Multiple sets. Not one person, several. They hadn't left. They'd scattered. I didn't sleep. At first light, I dug out and drove on, the storm easing into a gray dawn. The footprints haunted me. Who were they? Locals or something tied to the echoes my uncle mentioned? I stopped at a roadside cafe in Dawson City, nursing coffee while poring over the album. More notes emerged. Sketches of shadowy figures, warnings about followers in the white. My uncle had died on this route, officially a heart attack, but whispers said he'd raved about voices before passing. Was it hereditary madness or real? Pushing south toward British Columbia, the landscape shifted to rugged mountains, peaks shrouded in mist. The road twisted like a serpent, cliffs dropping sheer on one side. Night fell again, and with it, a dense fog that reduced my world to a tunnel of headlights. The engine purred normally now, but a new unease brewed, an itch in my mind, like forgotten words on the tip of my tongue. It began as a hum, low and vibrating through the cab. I adjusted the radio, thinking interference, but it persisted, rising to a murmur, indistinct voices blending with the engine's drone. Elias, was that my name? I froze, knuckles white on the wheel. The fog thickened, forcing me to slow. Glancing in the side mirror, I caught a flicker, a light tailing me, distant but steady. At first I dismissed it, another vehicle navigating the pass, but it maintained perfect distance, neither closing nor falling back. I accelerated to 80 kilometers per hour. It matched, slowed to 40, same. My pulse quickened. No passing lanes here, just narrow curves and drop-offs. The murmurs grew. Turn back. Echoes. Echoes? Like my uncle's notes. Panic rising, I pulled into a viewpoint overlook, brakes screeching. The tailing light vanished. Shaking, I stepped out, fog enveloping me like a shroud. No sound but my breathing. Back in the cab. Relief was short-lived. The light reappeared in the mirror, closer now. I floored it, rig protesting on the inclines. The pursuer gained, beams flooding the cab, blinding. Twists ahead loomed. One wrong turn and I'd plummet. Then abruptly, the light swerved off into nothingness. No road there, just cliff. I didn't stop until a valley town, pulling into a motel lot. The clerk, an elderly man, listened to my ramble. Fog plays games up there. Old miners talk of ghost lights, lanterns from lost souls, or maybe just reflections. But as I lay in bed, the murmurs echoed in my head. Clearer. Don't ignore us, Elias. We're family. The next day, I detoured to a library in Prince George, digging into my uncle's history. Records showed he'd been part of a search party in the 80s, looking for missing hikers in these mountains. They found bodies, frozen, with expressions of terror. But my uncle claimed voices led them astray. Dismissed as trauma, he quit trucking soon after, dying alone. A photo matched one in my album, the search team, including a man resembling Harlan. Was it connected? Paranoia gripped me. The final leg home to Vancouver felt interminable. Rain lashed the coastal highway, waves crashing below. Night brought the culmination. Alone in the cab, the murmurs returned, now whispers from the back seat. Look, Elias, see us. I resisted, eyes fixed ahead. But curiosity won. I adjusted the rear view. There, in the mirror. Faces. Pale, hollow-eyed. Resembling the search party photos, my uncle among them. They stared, mouths moving silently. Terror surged. I swerved nearly off the road. Slamming the mirror away, I radioed for help, but static answered. The whispers intensified. We followed you. The road binds us. A turnout appeared, a cliffside viewpoint. I stopped, engine off, rain pounding. The faces, were they hallucinations? Inherited guilt from my uncle's failures? Or spirits demanding acknowledgement? Trembling, I grabbed the album, tearing pages. Leave me, I shouted. Silence. Then a knock on the window. Harlan? No, a park ranger concerned. You all right? Saw you swerve. I mumbled excuses, driving on. The whispers faded as dawn broke, Vancouver's lights welcoming. Years later, I retired the rig, settling in a quiet suburb. But the road calls. Sometimes in dreams, the echoes return, reminding me that isolation invites the unseen. The horror isn't the strangers or shadows. It's realizing you're never truly alone. And if you hear your name in the wind, don't answer. It might be calling you home.